We talk about like what we would do if we had more time, but like honestly, would you be ready right now? Let's say the thing that you wanted the most, would you even be ready to receive it, or like would you fumble it in the final minutes of the game? Friends, we have arrived to the end of the first 12-week cycle. L's were definitely had. Time flew by. So for those who don't know, I participated in the 12-week challenge, which takes your time and squeezes it down so that you reach your goals faster than you normally would. So one day, instead of it being one day, it counts as a week. 1 week is a month. 1 month is a year, so that you can hit the things that you're supposed to be hitting without procrastinating. So this challenge was hella tough. It was hella tough. It definitely pushed me in a lot of ways and made me confront a lot of my own BS, which I can't help but be grateful for. So let's get into it. At the start of this challenge, my goals were to grow my YouTube channel. It was to launch my side business. It was to earn $5K in revenue outside of my 9-to-5, and to rebuild my relationship with myself. So let's start with the L, shall we? L number 1, I thought I had too many goals, but in actuality, my goals were just very vague. It took about 4 weeks for me to get specific with my goals by breaking down those goals into individual tactics that I could action on and see progress on. So we lost some time with that. The next L was not using my strategy blocks to increase my knowledge when I got stuck or I didn't know how to move forward with my goals. Like those strategy blocks were designated to educate myself to do the type of work like upskilling, which honestly, if a problem is too difficult, I firmly believe that perhaps you don't know enough, and I was not leveraging my strategy blocks to increase my level of knowledge and get me out of some of the ruts that I was in, and they just took way too long. And it put me into free fall where I was just like spinning and freezing because I was so overwhelmed. Next was life just happening. Honestly, between my dad getting sick, me taking a leave of absence from work, and being so overwhelmed with everything, and then on top of that, about 2 weeks ago, a car crashed into my front yard and took out my porch and my fence. Get a house, they said. It'll be fun, they said. And it's literally been nothing but work. So I'm coming up on my first year of being a homeowner, and I think I'm gonna have to make a video because it has been so incredibly exhausting to be a homeowner, and I just feel like I don't hear enough people talk about it. I don't know if I would say I regret buying my house, but there's definitely some things that I wish I would have paid more attention to and not been so excited about, like the prospect of owning a home, that if I could go back, I would do things completely differently. So this is the latest crisis. I'm supposed to go and see my dad tomorrow morning, but I think I might have to actually push that back so that I could get a handle on whatever the hell this is and how to go about fixing it. It's just been a lot. Your girls had a lot going on. But the biggest L that I took was waiting and hoarding content. In week 11, about a month and a half of content ended up being corrupted. So the entire previous month was gone. I ended up losing hours of work, and I can't even describe to you how demotivating and frustrating that was. But honestly, I feel like it was the universe telling me, this is why you shouldn't be sitting on your stuff. Like, it was literally a sign of like, you keep disrespecting me, because that's how I feel. It feels disrespectful at this point. Like, you keep disrespecting me and you keep sleeping on your craft. So I'm gonna show you like why that's not supposed to be happening. So it was so hard. It was such a big L, but I've learned my lesson. I have learned the lesson, and we will not be sitting on content. But alas, there were some wins too. One, the tracker was really, really good for me. The tracker really helped me out when it came to gamifying this experience. Like, it was really fun for me to turn my life into a game and see myself checking off those marks. I'm a very visual girly, so being able to hit check boxes and see completion helped me when things started to get too bogged down or I started to get too stressed out about everything that I had to do. I felt like I was making no progress. I was easily able to go back and, you actually are making progress, girl. We're doing the damn thing. The next W, I created my business plan launched my website, and located suppliers for my candle company. And you might be looking at me like, Deja, when did we even talk about this? Just know that it was in all of that content that got corrupted. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring you up to speed. So I started the process for launching a self-care ritual kit. I've been working on it for a while and I'm really excited to see it come to fruition. If you follow me on Insta, you know that I'm very much into self-awareness, self-knowledge, growth mindset, manifesting, creating a vision for your life, moving with intention. And it's basically just being in tune with what you actually want and not leaving it up to chance so that you can make a clear path for having it. That's my bread and butter. That is my jam. So my goal was to create a self-care ritual kit that encourages you to create the time and space to visualize, to create peace, to manifest the life that you want. So the part of the kit that I'm working on right now, the first part, are the candles. So I'm cluing y'all in. I'm not a huge fan of sneaky links or hookup culture or anything like that. I definitely think that there's people who exhibit sexual freedom, but I do think personally that there are a lot of people out here who are just going with emotions, or they think that that's how they have to be because society says so, or that's where we are right now, but they're truly like hopeless romantics. So I wanted to create manifestation candles for those hopeless romantics out there who aren't afraid to say that they love, who are okay with not participating in the dating apps and the merry-go-round and all of the BS that society tells us that we have to deal with right now, because they're committed to honoring themselves in their own healing journey and meeting the person that's actually going to provide the fulfillment that they want instead of just, short-term dopamine hits. I wanted to make candles for the person who's focused on doing the work that they need to do to bring the person that they want into their life. So we're making progress this week. I am solidifying the sense of what these manifestation candles will be. They smell great. I'm geeked for that. The next part of the self-care ritual kit is a vision journal. So during the challenge, I actually completed the design for the journal, which is really, really cool because it's actually a breakdown of all the questions that I ask myself on a daily, weekly basis. But the questions that I had to ask myself at the beginning of my journey that helped me create the life that I have now, which is literally everything that I wrote down 5 years ago. The life that I have right now is a result of the vision that I created 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, I was absolutely miserable, y'all. I was in hell. I don't even recognize that person anymore. Like looking back at videos, I don't even recognize that person. I think a lot of people tend to get stuck sometimes thinking that they have to be one type of way, or they can't change, or they just have to suffer through crisis to crisis and that's it. I think a lot of people get stuck there and it breaks my heart. So being able to create something that helps people carve out, 10 to 15 minutes to check in with themselves, to think about what they actually want, to manifest the things that they actually want. To be able to create something like that sits pretty high on my list of like desires. It's pretty much neck and neck between my desire to get everyone that I know roller skating. It's right there. So it's not only that, the thought of like helping people create space for their life, but it's something that worked for me. And to be able to use that to help others navigate through their own darkness, I literally can't think of a better way to spend my time. So I'm just very, very excited. I completed the journal. It's available digitally now, but my goal in the next 12-week cycle is to work with manufacturers to be able to create a physical copy. So for the people who like something a little bit more tangible, then they can also have something too, and they can light their manifestation candles and they can take 10, 15 minutes to write in their journal. I love the idea of helping people create self-care rituals. I've filled out dozens of journals at this point, and everything that I have written down that I wanted for my life, I currently have. It's come true in some way, shape, or form. It has happened. And if I could help someone get closer to that, even just one person get closer to that for themselves, then I'm happy, I'm content. The second biggest W was stepping into delegation. I am a control freak. Not only do I like to be in control of everything, but I also like to learn, which is a recipe for disaster, because there's a lot of things that make me go, oh, I could do that, I'll just do it myself, which is fine, which is not a problem, because I'm a very capable person. It becomes a problem when you realize that you can't do everything. You can't be everywhere at once. And anytime you open the door on something, you close the door on something else. And for delegation, I just submitted my first batch of content to a video editor. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is such a big deal. Like, my content is my baby, and you're basically like giving your baby to someone else, and you're like, okay, here, take care of my baby. Like, give me something back that, you know, I feel good about. So that's been huge. It's just like letting go of the reins on that so that I can do all of the things that I want to do, and not just like hold on with like this poverty mindset of like, oh, you know, only I can do this and no one else. And it's just like, you need help, girl. Literally can't do it alone. One of my goals was to rebuild the relationship that I had with myself. And I'm super, super proud to say that has stuck. I have been going to the gym 5 days a week consistently for the past 2 months. I've been eating very clean. I'm like, I feel good. I feel strong. I feel capable. And honestly, I think taking the time in the first cycle to focus on reestablishing the relationship with myself, I think has been a game changer for this cycle, because it's got me so excited for the next cycle. Like, I feel energized and prepared to take on what's next. And I know that it's because of rebuilding that relationship with myself. Like, I know who I am, I know what I want, I know what I need to do. So not only do I owe this to like meal prep, but I owe this to this tracker, being able to gamify it, and I owe it to the audio affirmations. So at the beginning of this challenge, I made affirmations that I then recorded and added to binaural beats. That way I could listen to my vision no matter what. I could just push play and go about my other things, but I'm still listening to it. And y'all, let me tell you, okay? There's so many things already that have happened that I realize, oh my goodness, this lines up perfectly with my affirmations. Perfectly. It's chilling when you hear or you experience something that you know you visualized or you affirmed months prior. So my affirmations have changed the game for me 100%. I recorded them in English and in French, and it's so funny because now that I know more French, I can like hear how I've screwed up words, and I like correct myself. I'm like, it's gentil. So I have to re-record them with like proper punctuation. And I guess that'll kind of be like an iterative process, because as I learn more French, then I'm able to go back and hear new things. Not only has it been fun, but hearing my affirmations every day, all of my actions are guided by the vision that I have of my highest self. It's been like fuel to the fire, constantly reminding me of who I'm trying to be versus like who I want to be in this moment when I'm not motivated or anything like that. It is 2023, and one thing that we are not doing is gatekeeping. We're not gatekeeping, y'all. We're not gatekeeping, and we're not blocking what the universe is trying to give us. We are extending our hands outwards, and we are uplifting others. So if you need some affirmations to listen to set up your morning right, to make sure that you get out on the right side of the bed, I've actually uploaded some that I've recorded for friends in the past, and they'll work for anyone. There's affirmations on manifesting money, on manifesting self-love, self-confidence. So check them out. I want you to peep how much your day changes when you go from listening to the news or mainlining socials first thing in the morning to listening to things that affirm your day. So the next biggest W was relationships and collaboration. So I have hella black cat energy. I've accepted it, I've made peace with it. So I normally spend all of my time alone, but between dating, spending time with my dad, and collaborating on my first podcast, I've definitely challenged myself, and I've spent more time with people in the past like 3 months than I have like the past 5 years. I'm not even kidding, it's crazy. But it did push me into a new comfort zone for sure. I spent more time with my dad in the past 3 months than I've had in many years, which was honestly priceless. I feel so much closer to him, and I'm actually excited to go back and visit him in a couple weeks. I got the chance to be on the Awaken the Awesome podcast by Olivier Day. And because I'm a sappy emo panda, I actually got super teared up during his introduction. I'll add the link to his podcast in the description box, so if you would like to check that out, then you can also do that as well. All my content is usually solo, just because it's easier to just, it's just easier to bang stuff out. But there was something really magical about being able to bounce around ideas with another creator. So many ideas about what types of collaborations I could be doing in the future, how I can partner with people. And these are like all new lines of thinking that hadn't occurred to me before. So Shout out to new neural pathways. Next one was just hitting pause. I went on a leave of absence from work, which is something that I've never done, and I've been working since I was like 15 years old. When I found out that I was gonna need to be going to California for my dad, I knew that there was like no way that I'd be able to handle the stress of my job and also be present for him. So for those who don't know, I work as a product marketing manager for Amazon. On top of that, I actually didn't even know that I could go on leave, which is so eye-opening, because I wonder how many other people, especially people who don't have kids, are out here thinking that they don't have leave. But if you worked at your company longer than a year, then you definitely have FMLA, and you have the same type of leave as a pregnant mom, as like maternity leave. And I had no clue about that. And it was also eye-opening at how guilty I felt, to take time off that I had earned. It just really made me feel some type of way about America's work-life balance culture and how we've been socialized to not address our own needs and just keep going until we burn out, all for the sake of like capitalism, which is an extremely unrealistic way to live your life. So pulling the car over and saying, oh, I'm actually so completely overwhelmed with everything in my life right now, and I need to go and take care of myself and my people, my family. It felt like disrespectful. It felt disrespectful, and it felt ungrateful, which I don't like that. Even when I was away from work, it literally took like 30 days for me to deprogram my brain from capitalism. Deprogram my brain from someone telling me where to be, what to do, what time to be there, what meeting to show up to. So much so that I found that even though I wasn't working, I was pushing my life stuff to the weekend as if I was working. And it was like, why are you doing that? Like, use the time now. Just really put into perspective for me two things. Again, one, I'm just really tired of America's work-life culture. Like, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And it also made me confront the fact that a lot of times we sit around and we say all of the things that we would do if we had more time. You know, all of our dreams were like, oh, I'd do this, I'd do this, I'd do this. But then I had all the time and I froze. We talk about like what we would do if we had more time, but like honestly, would you be ready right now? Let's say the thing that you wanted the most, would you even be ready to receive it? Or like, would you fumble it at, in the final minutes of the game? Like, would you even be ready for it? And it really made me address the root of my perfectionism, which at the end of the day is a fear of success. It's a fear of being successful and making myself responsible for the lives of all my people. I had to sit with that. And I had to simmer down a bit, and I had to really, really, really face it. And I'm really glad that I did, because honestly, I don't know if I'd be as excited about this next 12-week cycle as I am if I hadn't gone through that. If I hadn't been confronted with the fact that, hey, you have this time, and literally you're freezing. You're freezing. And you're freezing during a time in a space that's completely unpredictable. Like, my job is laying off people left and right. I don't even know if I will be there by the end of this week. Like, that's how bad and how stressful it is. And it's like the idea of relying on somebody or a corporation that could just change their mind. That's just not a way to live. If I hadn't gone through this experience, I think I would have realized that I am my biggest obstacle. So, with that being said, this upcoming 12-week cycle, we've made some changes. I changed my tracker with the new knowledge that I have of what works, what didn't work. So it's much more simplified now, and I can easily see everything that I need to see all at once. I added my audio affirmation, so I can literally just open it first thing in the morning, click, and I'm listening to it as I'm starting to plan out my day. I also got more specific with my goals, and I identified milestones that I'm looking for to determine if we are successful or we're on track with hitting our target. So my new goals are to, again, grow my YouTube to 10K, but I added a 6-week upload streak milestone. So 6 weeks of uploading consistently, that will let me know, okay, we're moving in the right direction. Posting weekly, and I've decided that I want to be a YouTuber, so I'm posting to YouTube first, and then everything else gets trickled down. Especially with like all the changes that Instagram is making lately, I realize that it's important for me to like deprioritize Instagram as my focal point. And I'm focusing on launching my roller skate course. Again, getting as many people as roller skating as possible, and then feeding that back into my YouTube, posting those skate tutorials, and then hiring an editor is how we're gonna make this happen. Next goal is to fully launch my candle company. milestones that we have are shipping 10 of my candle orders, plus starting the process for my physical journal. So getting a physical journal sample printed in front of me is a solid milestone. Locking down packaging, creating go-to-market plans, and I have a goal to read one finance, one business book every week so that I can continue learning on how to grow this. And then my third goal, we've limited our goals, is to learn French. So the milestone for that is to complete a journal entry in French. I love journaling, I love French, I'd love to be able to write in French. And so some of the ways that we're doing that is by having a French conversation with my pen pal at least 2 times a week so that I can get used to conversation. Writing my tasks daily in French, my Duolingo, and sticky noting the house, things like that are some of the tactics that I'm going to use for French. It's just a high level overview. I'm super excited to get started. So if you're also into trackers, check out the link in my description box. That is it, friends, for my 12-week year. Thank you guys for motivating me. I appreciate you guys so much. So do I feel like I made progress with this 12-week year challenge? I definitely do. And I feel like the momentum that I've picked up from the first 12-week challenge is kind of acting like compound interest for this next one. I usually like to bounce around when it comes to like productivity systems, but I think I'm gonna stick with this for a little bit. I'm gonna try and stick with it for the rest of the year and see how far I get. I think that'd be a fun challenge. Either way, I'm super excited for this next cycle, and I'm so incredibly grateful because I learned so much about myself, so much about my ways of moving, so much about like what I want to do with my time and how I want to give back to the world. All of that would not have come if I hadn't done this challenge. So thank you guys for being here. I hope that this video inspires you to take on your own challenges, to make mistakes, to fail forward, to do things that excite you and spark joy in your life. Celebrate your wins because we are here for such a short amount of time. We are here for a blip of time. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.